Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. Nascar, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your host, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Producer John going to join us here in just a little bit. His real-life work shift ran a little over this morning. But Matt and I are here, returning for an in-studio radio and YouTube show this week after the snow out last week. Looks like we're going to get more this week. Yikes. Fox has big plans for the first year of IndyCar coverage. We'll talk about that. Formula One has a course that's undergoing a major construction project. Got plenty of sponsorship news from the world of NASCAR. Plus, we're getting a better idea of exactly what the lineup for the Daytona 500 is going to look like. So we'll give you that open car list. Found this morning. Somebody decided to rank the 13 best drivers in the history of NASCAR. We'll let you know what they think of it and poke holes in it. Got a Formula E team talking about their future, an NHRA funny car team making history. That, and, well, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And considering the snow we got, we might have one here in Alabama before too long.
Right here for more on the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, Aniston, it's Matty Ice down here at Greenway.
To more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome in officially as we bring Matt Nicholson into the show officially this morning. How you doing, brother?
Hanging in there.
Yeah? Update on the leg?
Ain't cut off yet, but we're good.
That's a good start.
And ain't cut off yet, so we're good.
That's a good start. We like that. All right, 2025 racing season officially began. Truth be told, Formula E already began their season, but their first race was in 2024. Second race of the year happened down in Mexico City last weekend. Pascal Wehrlein making it 2 for 2 on the young season when it comes to pole positions. Not necessarily wins. Oliver Rowland was left to wonder what if, because he made a mistake on his qualifying attempt that left him starting the race fourth. But on lap 31, still in fourth, he was able to take advantage of his attack mode time to knife through the field. He got by Jake Dennis. All this happens on one lap, by the way. Gets by Jake Dennis in turn one. A late break that he was able to make stick got him by Pascal Wehrlein for second place. And then as the field went into Foro Sol Stadium, he got by and left leader Antonio Felix da Costa. Nice little triple play right there, all on lap 31, and that gets him the win. And going back to last season, this means Roland's won 2 of the last 3 races. Antonio Felix da Costa did finish second, Pascal Wehrlein third, Jake Dennis fourth, then Jean-Eric Verne, Max Gunther, Stoffel Van Dorn, Nick De Vries, Nico Muller, and Jake Hughes sitting inside the top 10. Da Costa leads the points with 37. Oliver Rowland with the win is now second with 25, tied with Mitch Evans. 21 for Pascal Wehrlein. The rookie Taylor Bernard showing off fairly early anyway. He's got 15. 13 for Jake Dennis, Sam Bird, Jean-Eric Verne, Nick De Vries, I should say, each have 12, and 10 for Eduardo Mortara, making up your top 10. As far as the team standings, Tag Heuer Porsche leads the way. They've got 58, so a big lead early because second place McLaren's got 27. Jaguar and Nissan tied at 25, 22 for Mahindra. At least they're out of the cellar. DS Penske's got 20. Andretti with 15, 8 for Maserati, Envision 6, 4 now for Cooper Kiro. The Lola Yamaha organization remaining at 0 points on their season so far. But I'm kind of getting the funny feeling they're about ready to break loose. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Just got this weird feeling. Manufacturer standings, which is the guys that make the powertrains. So a lot fewer organizations here. Porsche leads that as well. We're not really surprised. 59 points. Nissan's got 52. Jaguar 31, 22 for Mahindra, Stellantis 21, and Lola, again, in their first season, they remain scoreless because the only team that they provide powertrains for is the Lola Yamaha organization. All right, so there we go. Producer John going to join us, like I said, at the top of the show in a little bit, and right about that time is when Matt's going to realize that the computer gets taken over from him, which you're probably not all that worried about, truth be told.
Everything's set up for him, so he's ready to go.
Exactly. So here we go, and we got, for those of you that watch Cross Flags, this is going to be a little bit of a repeat. But the Cross Flags podcast is available, comes out. We record it every Wednesday. Usually by Thursday morning, it's up and ready to go on CRN Live on YouTube at some point.
Ready to take notes, class.
Yeah. But in case you missed it, we're going to go ahead and go back over it a little bit. After all that big news surrounding last week's announcement, the NASCAR created that OEP, that provisional basically that will allow some sort of quote-unquote world-class driver to get in under an exemption, which means they're guaranteed a start. It's going to let 4-time IndyCar champion Helio Castroneves race in the Daytona 500 with, again, exactly 0 NASCAR experience. Yeah, he's got 4 Indy 500 wins. He's got wins all across the IndyCar world. We're very thrilled about this. Let's make sure that we fully understand this. We're not decrying the Helio Castroneves entry at all. I think it's great for the racing world. It's kind of the whole situation that we were talking about last year, and we'll do it again this year as we approach Memorial Day.
And it's a good way for the Project 91 car to get back on the track.
Exactly.
All right.
But there's a lot of goodwill that comes out of the ability for NASCAR and IndyCar, or really any 2 series, to work together to be able to promote big name drivers coming over and running big races. Kyle Larson going to the Indy 500. Now you get Helio Castroneves running the Daytona 500. Okay.
Sure.
So you get all that goodwill. NASCAR grabs all that with that stuff and then takes it and tosses it right out the window.
And then some.
How? Again, if you watched Cross Flags, you know this, but if you didn't, NASCAR decided that Mike Wallace, you know, the guy that's got over 800 starts in the top 3 series of NASCAR, was not eligible to race. According to NASCAR, the reasoning, he hasn't raced on an intermediate or larger track since 2015. We'll get to commenting here in a moment. Wallace responded by posting on social media on Monday, quote, "To my utter shock and devastation at 4 p.m. today." This was Tuesday, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. NASCAR competition director Elton Sawyer called me to inform me NASCAR has decided not only to not approve me for the Daytona 500, but at this time, I'm not approved to race in Cup, Xfinity, or Truck Series in 2025, but I could go through a process to possibly get approved for 2026. Possibly. Wallace continued, "This comes as a total shock." Get ready for this. Wallace continued, "This comes as a total shock as the president of NASCAR." Sorry, who's the president of NASCAR again? Isn't that a guy with the name France?
Jim's the CEO. That'd be Steve Phelps.
Steve Phelps, okay. So when the president of NASCAR calls you, just last week, in a real phone call, Wallace posts, told me all was good, he will see me in Daytona. This means that the president of NASCAR got overruled. We'll get back to that.
Which is dumb.
Yeah. Wallace continued on, "I owe this posting to all my fans and non-fans who were supportive throughout the great messages and postings of support that they say I inspired them." Now, of course, this means that Carl Long and MBM Motorsports, which, by the way, there's a change there. We'll get back to that. They're looking for another driver with just a few weeks left before the Daytona 500. They need a guy who's going to bring a check, as opposed to Mike Wallace, who brought sponsors. Because there were a couple of companies, according to everything that we heard, that once they heard Mike Wallace was signing on, they signed on. Mike Wallace didn't have to bring them. They brought themselves.
There's a reason for that.
Okay. Long and the team posted on social media, quote, "MBM Motorsports can confirm NASCAR has deemed Mike Wallace not eligible to compete in the 2025 Daytona 500, despite 11 previous Daytona 500 starts, several superspeedway wins, mostly Xfinity and trucks, obviously, but both Daytona and Talladega, due to a lack of recent races in major professional sports. We are devastated for Mike that this opportunity will not come to fruition. For MBM, we must regroup at this late stage with the loss of a driver and sponsor for the Great American Race, and our team is working swiftly to sign another funded driver for Speed Weeks in order to still attempt to get into the 67th Daytona 500. We've got other drivers that we got to get to that have confirmed particular rides. So we'll get to those open cars here in just a little bit. First, we're going to deal with this because, again, we did deal with this during Cross Flags, but if you didn't check it out, yeah. I don't really see the difference here between an Elio Castroneves and a Mike Wallace.
There's none.
And there's a reason I say that. For those of you that are going to sit there and say, wait a minute, you just said Mike Wallace has 800 career starts. Okay, yeah, I get that. All right. But I also get that he hasn't run a NASCAR race since, when did we figure that out? 2020, 2021?
2021. And there is a legitimate reason for that.
Sure. And go back and watch Cross Flags. You'll get that because we're not going to recap it here. Okay, he hasn't raced in a top series NASCAR race since 2021. He hasn't raced on a intermediate or bigger track, read mile and a half or longer track, since 2015. Correct me if I'm wrong. Elio Castroneves has never stepped into a stock car.
That would be correct.
To run any race at the top
correct.
3 levels.
Correct.
But yet he's cleared to run NASCAR as long as he runs and does a decent enough job in the ARCA Menard Series race the day before the Daytona 500.
He's already cleared regardless.
I'm just saying this.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So they're going to let Elio Castroneves get into the race running an ARCA Menard Series race. And this is something that I did point out during Cross Flags as well. We have seen other drivers that are now champions in NASCAR, like defending champion Joey Logano, who were not able to race, but yet once they got through the ARCA Menard Series race, then they were allowed to race at a place like Talladega. I was there. I know. I was the one who, working for a local radio station at that time, happened to do the interview with Joey Logano in Victory Lane. That's how I know he got through the ARCA Menard Series race, and NASCAR said, okay, yeah, we'll let you go ahead and race here at Talladega. That was, 05. There is an avenue here to where NASCAR could go, well, if we're going to let Elio Castroneves run the ARCA Menard Series race just so that we can get a look at him, Can't we just put the NASCAR veteran Mike Wallace in the ARCA Menard Series race just to make sure he still got it?
He still got it.
I mean, I get it. He's 65, and, you know, talents can be perishable items if you don't practice them enough. I get that. So, again, here's the avenue. Let him run the ARCA Menard Series race. But instead, he's actually saying that he can't even think about getting into any top-level NASCAR race until 2026 because he's got to go through some weird process.
It's hard to grasp what the process would be other than simply sitting your hind end in a seat, putting a 5-point harness over your shoulder and going. But the single problem with this right here, to me, is they're trying to use the card and play the card and use the excuse, whatever. It's not an excuse. Well, Ilio's been in competitive competition for this, that, or there. Whatever. No, it doesn't matter.
No.
If you got over 800 National Series starts, you have multiple, say that one more time, multiple super speedway wins across 3 of the top 4 National Touring Series. I'm pretty darn sure that clears you and gives you enough to be able to sit in a car and start. My problem with this is by technicality, they've already given Ilio clearance because he passed the test at the ARCA Open test.
Yeah, with 70 other cars in attendance, but according to what we've heard, he didn't run with any of them.
Oh, he drafted. He did.
Oh,
draft.
did he? Okay.
He did draft.
All right.
He was still like 25th quickest, but he did get in a drafted trim.
Now, here's the thing: they don't care about that. They're just wanting to make sure that you can actually get on the track and hold the car at a speedway.
Which in pure simplification here, kids, because oversimplification, because it wasn't in a competitive nature, but it was at a pretty considerable speed.
Yeah.
The Dale Jarrett Racing School at Talladega, and basically what was at the time an ARCA Menard Series legal car. All you basically got to do is get to fourth, plant your right foot, and hold a straight wheel. That's it. Anybody could do that.
Matt and I did it.
But you're letting, just because I do not care. I do not care if you won 4 Indy 500s, if you won 3 days or whatnot. If you, he's won a Rolex 24. Rolex 24 is completely different than getting out there with 40 other cars, or 41.
Yeah.
3 wide for 15 or 20 laps straight. That does not give you an automatic pass.
Shouldn't.
Here's where I put a little slash on Justin Marks' credibility. Sorry, I've said before on this platform, from a business savvy standpoint and how smart he is from a business standpoint, Justin Marks is one of the most dangerous car owners in this sport in a positive way.
I would agree.
But with this right here, this OEP provisional, they were working back on this in late October, early November.
Yeah.
They knew Ilio was going to run Daytona then.
And here's where, we've heard this said many, many times about, certain coaches or GMs in different sports, whatever it might be, that they're playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Justin Marks, because apparently this OEP language was in the charter proposal that they laid out in front of everybody that caused 2311 and Front Row Motorsports to go screaming out like their heads were on fire and not signing it. Justin Marks apparently read all the paperwork and read every single bit that was in there at some point in time and realized, hey, there's an OEP here. And he went ahead and put in the request saying we're going to work out that deal.
But this
So
is
I will give him credit on that too, because he read into it something that even we didn't realize. He went and found things that nobody else went and found.
But here's my problem with this OEP. This OEP provisional should not give. I don't care who it is. I do not care. I don't care if it's Lewis Hamilton. I don't care if it's Max Verstappen. I don't care if it's Jordan Taylor. And I'm thinking sports cars in multiple places here. Sure. I don't care if it's Scott Dixon. This OEP provisional should not give you an automatic pass just to say, oh, I made a NASCAR start. And when you get out there and go, oh, dear Jesus, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can guarantee you right now, if I went to the Daytona 500 and I was spotting that 91 Wendy's Chevrolet, you could probably look through. At one point, you'll probably be able to look down and be able to see in a straight line when they come from you on the spotter stand at Daytona, looking straight out of turn 4. You'll probably be able to see Elio's eyes real wide, because he's probably going to be going, "Oh my Lord, what is this?"
Well, and I've said this story before, and I'm going to say it again right here. You and we did the Dale Jarrett experience out there at Talladega. Now, yes, we were limited by a rev chip, okay, but at the same time, you get a feeling we're doing 150 miles an hour because you and I both found out very, very quickly right where that limiter hit and started to...
Oh, I find them in a hurry.
Yeah, and started to mess with the timing of it, and you just back off just a hair, and you're running right on the ragged edge of what that rev limiter chip will let you do, which for us was about 150 because it was the base package.
First time I did it, there was no chip, and I hit 179.
Yeah. And I would love to be able to do that. It's a little bit cost prohibitive, but I would love to be able to do that. But once I found that and I got kind of comfortable doing it, I'm sitting there in the middle lane going through turns 1 and 2 on one particular lap, and I took just a mental moment because I wanted to kind of get an idea of this in my head. And I thought to myself, what if I was doing, say, 30 to 40 miles per hour faster than what I'm doing now, and I'm inside the main pack during a race here at Talladega, or for that matter, Daytona. And I started to imagine, because again, remember, I'm in the middle lane. I started to imagine a bunch of cars in front of me, a bunch of cars behind me, cars below, and cars above. Because you and I were there last October, and how long did they run 3 wide at Talladega?
Oh,
almost
wide.
Almost all race.
Yeah, they was 4 wide.
And they were 4 wide quite a bit.
25 laps plus, which that was.
And I started to try to put myself into that mindset.
That was nothing but a show.
And think, I'm doing this maybe at 30, 40 miles per hour faster. And how much more I'm going to have to concentrate on what I'm doing just to make sure that all the factors that are involved, the wind buffeting from all of the different cars that are around there and so on and so forth, trying to keep my car straight without screwing anybody else up. I get it that Elio Castroneves, and for that matter, Mike Wallace, these guys are world-class racers. Again, 800 starts in NASCAR. You can't get 800 starts in NASCAR by being out there playing bumper cars.
Oh.
There has to be an avenue to where Mike Wallace should be able to make this. There has to be an avenue to where Michael Wallace could race this year and not have to wait until 2026.
If I am, and I said this the other day, if I am Bill Venturini, I'm picking up the phone, I'm calling him immediately. I'm calling him immediately. Mike, you want to get in one of my cars to get your clearance? Come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm telling you right now, as ridiculous as this system has become, and I'm going to use the word ridiculous, and I'm going to give an example here. A lot of people's going to know what I'm talking about. If a YouTube content producer, his legal known name is Garrett Mitchell, better known as Cletus McFarland. If he can go and he's approved and will be competing in the ARCA race, for the love of mankind and humanity, anybody can go do it.
Yeah. At that point in time, all you need to do is go get a NASCAR license, which, oh, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Mike Wallace go get one?
Yep.
Huh. It's amazing how that works. All right. Carl Long also made another announcement that happened actually just yesterday. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about other things related to the Daytona 500 and give you the list of the open cars as we know them now. That's coming up after this.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. Tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back in. I'm Steve West. Matt Nicholson, producer John has joined us. So if you happen to be on CRN Live and want to, feel free. Say hi to him there in the chat. This, by the way, isn't necessarily related, and I'm not really sure why he decided to do it, but MBM Motorsports, at least on the Cup Series side, isn't anymore, at least under that name. Carl Long on Friday revealed that a change came to his operation as the team will no longer be known in the Cup Series as MBM Motorsports. He has rechristened it as Garage 66. That's the reason for the number. This, by the way, does not affect the Xfinity Series arm of the organization. That will remain as MBM Motorsports. They have 2 cars there. In a press release, the team said, quote, "The new name and logo reflects the streamlining of our team to fewer people with higher standards. We want to deliver great race cars to each track we compete at and produce solid finishes with fewer mistakes. Management and accountability become much less stressful with just 1 car at the track most weekends and many less people." Okay. Still not 100% certain why he decided to change the name to Garage 66, but okay.
Probably a stab back at them for doing what he done. They had their Garage 56. I'm going to have Garage 66.
That's true. It's not necessarily the worst.
That's
move
still
on the
most. I still can't wrap my mind around this.
Yeah. I mean, truth be told, we could spend the entire show on it, but we've got plenty of other stuff to get to. So.
Yeah, we could. But with The Clash coming up in a few weeks, and some people that are getting in Cup cars that's never been there. There's a problem.
We'll get to that. Despite, by the way, everything that NASCAR's tried to do to basically stab themselves or shoot themselves in the foot, NASCAR announced that all the grandstand tickets for this year's Daytona 500 are sold out, as are all the camping spots. Tickets for all the other events for the weekend leading up to the Daytona 500, they're still available. But yeah, Daytona 500 sold out again. Happy to hear it. And it'll probably once again get the biggest ratings of any race this year. But do we have problems? Yeah, we got problems.
Oh, big ones.
We got problems.
Huge ones.
Right after this whole thing, more things began to happen really kind of in quick succession here. I know that we're not really surprised by this because we figured this was going to happen. But first up, 7-time Cup Series champion Jimmy Johnson announced his racing plans for 2025. Kind of surprising in the fact that it's only going to be 2 races. The 2 races he chose, not surprising. They're the Daytona 500 and the Coca-Cola 600. He's got 2 Daytona 500 wins, and he at one point in time basically had a lease to own Charlotte Motor Speedway, which for a while was even called Lowe's Motor Speedway. So he does admit there is the chance there might be more starts for him coming in the Legacy Motor Club number 84 Toyota. But again, only those 2 are confirmed right now. Yeah. That will be an open car, though, so remember that. Also, for the longest time, and I don't know how long we've been wondering this, but for a very, very long time, fans have been wondering whether or not Junior Motorsports was ever going to dive into the Cup Series. And over the last few years, they've been kind of teasing this whole thing about, yeah, we've looked at it, but they've always kind of balked at it due to the cost of a charter. The thing about it is, if they had bought in and gotten at least one charter back when they started talking about this, it would have been a lot less expensive than it is now.
It is true. That is true.
Either way, they finally decided to get into the Cup Series for one race anyway. They're going to try to get their regular Xfinity Series driver Justin Allgaier into the Daytona 500 in a cooperative effort with, shocking, Hendrick Motorsports. They're going to put the number 40 on the side of the Chevrolet entry with the sponsor Traveler Whiskey. Traveler Whiskey is a label created by award-winning country singer Chris Stapleton. Stapleton apparently has been friends with Rick Hendrick for a number of years now. And recently, the 2 of them happened to be together, and Stapleton said, just kind of made an offhand comment about wondering what it would take to get his whiskey brand onto a car in the Daytona 500, and then that started the ball rolling, and there you go. Now we have an entry for Junior Motorsports. The announcement led to the next obvious question in the introductory press conference. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Was asked, really, if this might be the beginning of Junior Motorsports getting into Cup. Dale insisted during the press conference this is a one-off deal. For now. I'm quoting him as saying, for now.
This car will be back at a super speedway race. Mark my words.
When Kelly Earnhardt Miller was interviewed on SiriusXM Satellite Radio's NASCAR channel, she got to talking about it because she got asked pretty much the same question, and she said, for now, this is a one-off deal. And yes, I believe you are 100% correct. He will find another way at some point in time, and I think, yeah, this is them dipping their toes into it. This is them dipping their toes into the Cup Series pool. There are 2 ways of getting into a pool. We all know this. You can either go to the shallow end, get on the top stair, and get your feet pointed, get your feet into the water so that you can kind of get an idea of what the temperature is, and then step down and work your way up to your knees and finally get in. Or you can just go down to the deep end, get onto the diving board, and just dive in and just splash in. These guys are walking in from the shallow end. It's not wrong either way.
No, it's not.
It's their preference.
Yeah.
Justin Marks went off the high dive. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going into the shallow end.
High dive is an understatement.
He cannonballed off the high dive. Let's see who else. Producer John's favorite driver. We knew that Martin Truex Jr. was going to get a ride for the Daytona 500. We also knew that Cole Pern, who happened to be his crew chief in the title-winning season back in 2017, was going to be coming back to call the shots. But other than that, we really didn't know any of the other details. But finally now those blanks have been filled in. The number on the side of the Toyota is going to be 56. Those 2 things we pretty much figured as well. He was going to be in a Toyota. It was going to have the number 56. It'll be an assist, not shockingly, from Joe Gibbs Racing, another thing that we could easily surmise. sponsorship from the first and his last sponsor from his time in the Cup Series, Bass Pro Shops. Again, kind of figured that was all going to happen. Who's technically credited with putting the car out there is a little bit of a surprise. It's Tricon Garage. They're going to get their Cup Series debut as well with Truex, who retired from the Cup Series after the 2024 season. It was thought he would be in a third or maybe a fourth 23-11 entry, but with the uncertainty surrounding the team and their charter situation and what it was going to do with them and the lawsuit with NASCAR and everything just kind of got pivoted over to Tricon Garage as opposed to Legacy MC, which I think that kind of backs up the thought that Legacy MC is kind of standing separate in the Toyota grand scheme of things from 2311 and Joe Gibbs.
They are, but kids, what this has done, this has now opened a huge can of worms. Because when a team, think about this, the new charter garbage.
Yeah.
There's a 3-car cap on every team.
Except for the ones that are grandfathered.
With the exception of the ones that are grandfathered in.
Yeah.
Hendrick and Gibbs.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess what Hendrick and Gibbs just technically by default just did? They just added a 5th car. The car is prepared by Hendrick on the junior car. The car is prepared by Joe Gibbs on the Tricon car. Sure.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Yeah, that is a full-scale, wide-open 5th car for Hendrick and Gibbs. So
But-
guess what? Guess what? Now 2311 and RFK and all the other ones are going to do. They're going to.
Oh, yeah.
Rick Ware. Oh, we're going to have a 4th car. We're going to have a 2nd car hit the track, but it's going to be prepared by RFK.
Sure.
That's RFK's 4th car.
Yeah. Well, that's the Haas factory team. We can go for a 5th car, though.
Well, a 5th car.
Because
Yeah,
here's the
a
thing.
5th
Haas
car.
factory team has only the one car. They've got openings. They can run as many as they want under their banner. Probably just about all of them will be built and prepared by RFK Racing.
So-
you could do the same thing over at Wood Brothers with Team Penske.
Yeah, there's your.
There's any number of those affiliations.
There's because they're technically their own banner, but you know that they're prepared by the main organization.
But this all goes back to what we have always said before. You always read the rule book for what isn't in there, not what is.
There you are.
Hendrick, Gibbs, every other team now knows that there's this loophole they can drive Mack trucks through all day and into the night. So I actually kind of got to give them credit for it. Even with that good news, however, it's been tempered with the news yesterday that came out that Martin Truex Sr., Martin Truex Jr.'s father, Ryan Truex's father, passed away. Truex Sr., a NASCAR driver in his own right, had 15 starts in what is now called the Xfinity Series, going from 1989 through 1998. He had a best finish of 12th at Nazareth Speedway back in 1994. Remember that track, boys and girls? However, he gave it up to support his sons, Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Truex. Ryan this year is the reserve driver for Joe Gibbs Racing. No cause of death was given. Martin Truex Sr., not that old, 66. Our thoughts and our prayers go out to the Truex family and friends. RFK Racing has announced the final piece of the puzzle for their now 3-car operation. Previously, as we detailed, Ryan Preece coming over from the late lamented Stewart Haas Racing to take on Roush Fenway Keselowski's number 60 Ford Mustang. Kroger coming on as a sponsor, among others. We now know who's going to be calling the shots on the pit crew. That's Derek Finley. Finley joined RFK back in 2022, and with him came over 2 decades of crew chief experience. He's also got a mechanical engineering degree from the University of New Mexico. Now not a whole lot of crew chief experience, but he has worked for several organizations with titles like Director of Operations, Technical Director, Competition Director. He also worked with the Stage 60 program for RFK Racing just last year, so he's familiar with the car and probably most of the personnel that fits there, although I think some of them came over from Stewart Haas Racing along with Preece. I'd be shocked if they didn't. Yeah. So this, I'm not going to say they're set up for success right off the bat. And I say this because I like Ryan Preece.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen yet him be consistently up there battling for wins. Every once in a while, he shows some promise. You see him run an occasional top 10 over the last couple of years at SHR. But I do kind of question, and I say this because, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm a fan of Stewart Haas Racing. Loved him. Late lamented. And that was my comment, not anybody else's. Was it the car or was it the driver? And that's what we get to find out this year. because we know that RFK Racing is building some pretty good stuff. Witness what Chris Buescher's done over the last couple of years, and finally, Brad Keselowski broke a 100-race plus non-winning streak.
Yeah.
So we know that RFK has cars out there that can win. Stewart Haas Racing over the last 2 years won what? One race? Darlington. The guy that's now over at Joe Gibbs Racing took over the 19 car. Chase Briscoe.
We're going to find out quick.
I think
we're going to find out really quick.
I'm rooting for him. I am.
Yeah.
Again, I like Ryan Preece. I think he's a good kid. We'll see whether or not this works out for him. RFK also announced an extension of their partnership with the company Castrol Motor Oil. This is going to be their 6th. And now also includes a kind of an expanded collaboration here. This brings in Travel Centers of America, truck stops that might be better known as TA. You've probably seen these around if you do any kind of traveling at all. In the deal, Castrol will continue as the official oil partner of Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. It's early in the morning for me, and I don't know why I'm having problems, because usually I'm up and ready to go by 8:41 in the morning, if you know what I do on a regular basis. But for some reason, I'm tripping over my own tongue this morning, and I apologize. They did announce an extension on Friday. They showed off 3 new paint schemes, the 6, 17, and 60 cars that split the two brands. You got Castrol in the front, TA Centers on the back. Pretty good-looking cars overall. I kind of like how they look. So we'll see how this goes along. Glad to have TA, though, as part of the new team here in NASCAR. I haven't seen TA in many, many years. I think they were at one point in time a sponsor.
There's a TA in Lincoln.
I know, but I'm saying a sponsor in NASCAR.
They never have been until now.
Okay. Glad to have him into the family. Bring it on. Rick Ware Racing has rehired Cody Ware. I know we're all shocked by that. To become a full-time driver for the family operation. Let me repeat that last part, the family operation. Ware will be the pilot of their one remaining chartered entry, the number 51 Ford Mustang. Ware, who's now 29, will be the full-time driver for the first time since 2022. The crew chief will be Billy Plord. In 2023, Ware started 7 races, got another 9 in 2024, but he only managed an average finish of 21st. Did have a best finish of 4th in the regular season finale last season. But still, this is also the best career finish in the Cup Series. This top 5, it's something you can hang your hat on. It's at Daytona, but still, it's something you can hang your hat on. His best career finish so far in more than 100 races. Marks his first ever top 5 finish. Rick Ware Racing did have, or I guess we could say technically has, 2 charters, but remember, they leased one to RFK Racing for that number 60 car. They still own it. They'll have to figure out what to do with it after the end of the season, because they're either going to have to reclaim it or sell it.
That's your charter for the 15 car that went to the 60.
Yeah, that 15 car becomes, it's an open car, and I kind of getting the funny feeling, or at least everything that I'm hearing, that's going to be a part-time car this year. They're not going to come to every race with that 15 car. They're going to be selective.
Kids, here's another example of people that don't need to be in a car, that has no business in a car. So now car 51 is going to absolutely completely regress from what progress it made last year. Yeah. It's going to regress. Mark my words. Yeah.
When you had Justin Haley in the car, and even when you had Corey LaJoie in the car, you had a really good setup. And then, they did that switch where they traded with Spire between Haley and LaJoie. Again, I don't think it lost a whole heck of a lot there. I do think it loses a good bit with Cody behind the wheel. I mean, I'm sorry. Cody has proven absolutely nothing to me over his time.
Absolutely not.
All right, before we get to Daytona, we got to deal with the clash at Bowman Gray. This goes back to something that Matt was talking about here just a moment ago. And we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Small businesses and consumers thrive.
We'll get to it in a minute.
Relationships. That's where First Bank of Alabama fits into your financial solution. Our products and services give you the tools you need for your financial success. We're a click away if you're looking for the only.
So a couple of weeks ago, it was announced that they were going to take one of the modified drivers that has won God only knows how many races and championships at Bowman Gray Stadium, and they were going to give him a chance to work his way into the Clash. Remember when the Clash was one of those situations, it was just that kind of a bonus for all those who won pole positions the year before?
Where you earned your way in?
Now, apparently, there is a way, kind of like in the All-Star race, for you, if you haven't won a race in the previous year from the last year's All-Star race, to be able to go in through the Open and become part of the All-Star race. I'm not sure I 100% agree with it, but either way, here it is. So one of the modified champions is going to get a chance to get himself into the Cup Series Clash at Bowman Gray. Actually, there's two of them now. Another local modified driver has been announced with an open entry. This is Bowman Gray champion Burt Myers. Myers' record at the legendary short track includes a dozen track championships in the modified tour. In addition, he holds 2 NASCAR Wayland Modified Tour titles and 3 Smart Modified Tour championships. I got to admit, I've never heard of the Smart Modified Tour.
I have, yeah.
What do you know about it?
Basically, in a nutshell, the Smart Modified Tour, in a way, is like the Xfinity Series version of Modifieds.
Okay.
A little bit lesser horsepower cars compared to the Wayland Modified Tours.
Mm-hmm.
They put on some pretty good races.
All right, so basically this guy's versatile. He can win titles and get a whole lot of wins on a number of different levels of modifieds, and I heard an interview with him this week, and he said modifieds really have been his life. Myers is signed to drive the 50 car for Team Amerivet. Veteran crew chief Tony Uri Jr. calling the shots for the pit crew. Sponsors who will adorn the car: Citrus Safe Cleaners, Pinnacle Finance Partners, C3 Pressure Washing Store of Concord, also for Givco and Amerivet Securities. Again, thrilled to death for Burt, who's, 48, 49, somewhere in that area?
Something.
To get finally his first ever Cup Series race, and glad that he can do this. But I do question this format here, because aren't we watering down what at one point in time had been an exclusive race for those who were able to accomplish something the year before? This is your reward, isn't it?
It was watered down when it was taken to Los Angeles.
I don't disagree. Don't get me wrong. I don't disagree with that. But we weren't going to get an open car going to travel 3,000, 3,500 miles from the Charlotte area to Los Angeles on the possibility they might get in. Now all you're doing is going from the Charlotte area up to Winston-Salem. It's an hour and a half drive.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to get all kinds of people that are going to be willing to take advantage of the open thing. But again, I thought the idea was to reward those who, in this case, claimed a pole position the year before.
Again, it should have never changed from its original format.
No, I agree.
But we are putting someone in a cup car that's never sat in a cup car.
Yeah, we're putting somebody in a cup car that has a lot of experience at the particular track we're going to.
But we're shutting people out of our car at a track they have won a National Series race at.
Yeah.
See where I'm going with this? There is no validity whatsoever behind any of these decisions they're making. They're not valid.
Oh, yeah.
There's no validity. Because
you make one decision and then you turn around and say, okay, there are reasoning for it, and then you turn around and you go right against your reasoning for it by making the next decision.
Exactly. But the age-old saying, there's an age-old saying, and the reason because I say this is because when I got back in a car in 2023, I can speak to this. I was out of a car for right at 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I got right back in the car, and no soon as I latched the 5-point harness down, hit the starter switch, and grabbed the gear, guess what? It all came right back to me.
Yeah.
And I got in a car that I'd never sat in and drove ever in my life. But it came right back to me.
Yeah.
I put the car in the show. It all came right back to me. If it can happen to me, it can happen to a 65-year-old.
Sure.
Rest assured.
Heck, how many times have we talked about the fact there's a guy who's approaching 100 years old who's sitting out there running every week at Talladega Short Track? All right, so this brings us to Daytona and the 500, and we are getting at least a somewhat clearer picture of the open cars that are trying to make it into the race. So here's what we know. We know seven-time champion Jimmy Johnson's going to be in the 84 car. We know the Project 91 car with Elio Castroneves. We know Tricon Garage is coming with Martin Truex Jr. We know that Justin Allgaier's bringing the Junior Motorsports number 40. Here's some other stuff we know. BJ McLeod, number 78 Live Fast Motorsports car.
Out.
Huh?
Out.
Are
Out of these cars now with what's
okay? This is what you're predicting. Okay.
Because
again, here, we'll predict that here in a minute because we got to go deeper into this.
Go ahead.
Other ones that we know of, Anthony Alfredo will be in the Beard Motorsports number 62. It seems more than likely because preliminary entry lists show J.J. Yaley in the NY Racing number 44. There's the MBM, or now Garage 66 number 66, but again, no driver listed at this point in time. So we're dealing with 7 confirmed entries regarding MBM / Garage 56. 8 are possible. And yes, there's still time for more. We're still hearing maybe RCR might break out the 33, depending on who they might be able to get as a driver, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, Amerivet 50 car.
Yeah, the Amerivet 50 car is another possibility.
There's a possible 45 cars for the 500.
For 40 slots, technically, because, again, we got to take that Project 91 with a grain of salt. So, let's presume that what you say happens will happen. And that is you believe that Trackhouse can shut out the front row.
Now that we know how this OEP garbage is going to work, he's locked in the race regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to come out guns blazing. Sure, we all know, every single one of us know, that when there is a preseason storyline, let's word it that way, there's a preseason storyline of some form, that said preseason storyline magically will just pop up out of nowhere and inhabit one of the front 2 spots of the 500 and be on the front row. We know that.
But again,
Danica Patrick.
Sure.
Austin Dillon with a 3 car coming back. Jeff Gordon's final 500.
Yeah.
I could go on.
Let's go on that presumption then that he's going to be on the front row, which means he is definitely locked in to the race before we even get to Thursday and the duels.
All international front row.
That means that we've got a 40 car field. And that means 36 chartered cars plus the Project 91, we're down to 3 open spots. Keep that in mind.
Yep.
Of the names that we know, and we'll presume that the number 66 has driver to be named later officially in there. Where are you going? You've already mentioned that BJ McLeod is out. I don't argue that.
91 we know's in.
Yeah.
84.
Again, in this scenario, you've got 3 slots to fill.
84's in.
Okay.
You know Johnson's not going to miss.
No.
56, you know he's going to be in.
Okay. And that leaves 1 between Allgaier, Alfredo, BJ McLeod, Yaley, and whoever's in the MBM Garage 66 entry.
You know, and everybody knows now that the Junior Motorsports car is going to be have a cup car in the 500. We know that car is going to be in the race. 84, 91, 56, and 40 will take up those spots.
And I have no problem with that. And the reason why I say I have no problem with that is because even if this wasn't a situation where we know that it's Junior Motorsports, this is a car that is built and prepared by Hendrick. And Hendrick all but owns qualifying at Daytona and Talladega. That car is going to be set up and ready to go when it comes to qualifying. I don't have a problem with that.
And who else gets assistance from Hendrick with some technical support?
Trackhouse.
That would be Trackhouse.
All right, let's now flip the script and go with the assumption that Elio Castroneves does not get on the front row. That means that he automatically gets in as the number 41 entry, and now we have 4 open cars available.
You're going to see car 62.
And that's a car prepared by RCR
62
with ECR engines. Yeah. And I would agree with that because I'm sorry, Live Fast, Garage 66, and NY Racing. I have a lot of respect for JJ Hilly, but none of those entries impress me enough to state they're in.
Nope.
What if we could find, and I'm just throwing it out there, if we got the 33 RCR entry in there, does that change your mind, or are you still sticking with those 4?
Changes my mind from 62 to 33.
Does it officially? Okay, just checking. It's going to be interesting to watch this. We'll find out a couple of weeks from now. Not that long. Let's see what else we got here. Front Row Motorsports announcing they have an extension of their partnership with Community Choice Financial family of brands. This is Title Pawn companies, specifically the likes of like Title Max. Also, you got Speedy Cash, check cashing company. They're going to be part of the sponsor lineup for Zane Smith and the number 38 Ford Mustang in the Cup Series. Speedy Cash going to be primary for 4 races, starting with the Clash at Bowman Gray, then again at the Daytona 500, Kansas, and then at the fall race at at Texas, I should say, and then the fall race at Kansas. Title Max is going to be the primary for another 4 races: COTA, Spring Vegas, Spring Talladega, and then the Southern 500 at Darlington. It's pretty high-profile stuff there. In addition, Title Max is going to be a season-long associate sponsor for the number 4 car of Noah Gragson, and both brands are going to appear on the Front Row Motorsports Craftsman Truck Series entries of Lane Riggs and Chandler Smith. Which one gets on which truck, we don't know, but this will be at Texas when the Truck Series goes there. As for Noah Gragson, we're still kind of waiting to see how many of those regular sponsors that he has had over the course of his career finally make that move and announce that they're going to be part of the sponsor lineup of the number 4 car for Front Row. The interesting thing is one of those brands is already announced that they are going to be on a different car. We'll tell you about it and show it to you when we come back and officially kick off hour number 2 of CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. Tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
So we reached the midway point of this particular show, and we're still talking Cup Series because, wow, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. We mentioned it beforehand. One of those sponsors that we generally have seen with Noah Gragson on his cars has announced that they have signed a deal with Richard Childress Racing, Bass Pro Shops, along with Winchester Firearms. Winchester usually has been on a Gragson car. I don't know as this means that they'll not be on Gragson's car again this year.
Don't mean nothing.
Not really. But they have signed to appear together on the 3-car for Austin Dillon in not just one, but 17 races this coming year, continuing a long partnership between the two brands. But this is the first time they will have appeared together on the 3-car with Dillon. The first of those 17 races is going to come, not surprisingly, at the Daytona 500. And in looking at that car, as I have, it's a pretty good-looking car, I got to admit. 2004 Cup Series champion Kurt Busch. I hate the way, and I'm sure he does too, I hate the way that his Cup Series career came to a rather strange, ignominious end. He wasn't able to finish out what was going to be his final season anyway because he suffered a head injury in the middle part of that season. It just seemed to linger well beyond his official retirement. But he hasn't been too far away. He's been rehabbing. He's followed doctor's orders, he says, all while working with 2311 Racing behind the scenes. Doctors, however, in working with him, have finally said, you know what? If you want to get back into a race car, go for it. You're cleared. His first time back behind the wheel is going to come at the Race of Champions. This will happen March 7th and 8th. He'll make up half of Team USA alongside a veteran of the event, Travis Pastrana. Now, Kurt has competed in this event before alongside his brother Kyle back in 2017. The pair actually claimed runner-up that year. This year, the event will take place in Sydney, Australia at their Accor Stadium. It will feature, along with Busch and Pastrana for Team USA, a Team Germany that consists of Sebastian Vettel and Mick Schumacher. Then there's the home country's drivers, and how exactly this is going to all work out, I'm not 100% certain, because it's not just two. Australia will have Jamie Whincup from V8 Series, Molly Taylor, who does off-road racing down there. You got Will Brown and Toby Price all in there from Australia. But you could only have two on your team. I don't know. From Sweden, you'll have drivers Johan Kristoffersson and Oliver Solberg. Norway will have Valtteri Bottas and Petter Solberg entered. The Solbergs usually team up on like a Team Scandinavia, and then there's one of the other Scandinavian countries that puts in an entry. We'll see how that breaks down. New Zealand's got a driver, too. That'll be European Rally Champion Hayden Paddon. Final pairings and all the rest of the drivers still have yet to be announced. Yep. All right. I found this morning, and I found it irresistible because lists tend to create arguments, or at least discussion. And this one is going to. I can guarantee it. So for the giggles of it, a website called countrygoing.com has tried to foist on the public, according to them, or at least one of their writers, the 13, why 13, I have no idea, 13 greatest drivers in NASCAR history.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to give them to you in no particular order. Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Cale Yarborough. Any arguments so far?
No.
Okay. Again, this is 13, using their number. Darrell Waltrip?
No.
Tony Stewart?
No.
Kyle Busch?
Question mark, because there's one name I have not heard yet.
Oh, wait. Rusty Wallace?
Question mark.
Junior Johnson?
Question mark.
Mark Martin?
Question mark.
Bill Elliott?
Question mark.
Here's my exclamation point with a question mark. Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
Question mark, exclamation point, pound sign, dollar sign, everything in between.
There is, we could probably argue a whole bunch of different names here, but there's one name that just glaringly sticks out to me as an omission here. And I guarantee you Matt is going to say it as I prompt him right now.
David Pearson.
Bingo. Where the heck is David Pearson? There's a myriad of other names that we could throw in there, including Bobby Allison.
David Pearson, Bobby Allison. because there's several more.
Sure, absolutely. You know, Bill Elliott, I get where Bill Elliott could be included on the list. Certainly Mark Martin, considering what he's done. I've got no problem necessarily them throwing Kyle Busch in there because Kyle Busch has so many wins over the top 3 series of NASCAR. I get it. But again, how are you leaving out David Pearson? How are you leaving out Bobby Allison? And you put, with all due respect to him, Dale Jr. in there over them.
Pearson, Allison, Lee Petty.
Yeah.
Ned Jarrett. Those are the glaring ones. But
sure.
Out one of the 13 best drivers, you put somebody that is 33rd on the all-time wins list, but not 2 and 3.
Yep.
Or 2 and 4.
Just saying.
This is his that makes me Lima Oscar Lima. LOL. Seriously?
Makes me just want to go loser. I don't know where these people come up with this stuff, but
is,
I threw it out there because, you know, it was, again, one person's idea, not our person, not these people, not on this show, but one person's idea of the best 13 drivers in NASCAR history. You got some holes in it.
Do not, for the love of humanity, let Russell Branham read that, because Russell Branham will lose his ever-loving mind.
Well, and the funny thing was, I looked all over the place. All I could find this attributed to was to the website. I couldn't find the author's name.
Yeah, that's probably a smart thing by the author to not do that, because you will get absolutely roasted.
Yeah. So the CW coming in as we switch our attention to the Xfinity Series. A whole lot of people were wondering after they borrowed the NBC crew in front of and behind the cameras for the final 8 races of 2024, who they might turn to for this coming season now that they're, well, pretty much on their own. Tuesday, they officially announced it. One we already knew of. It's lead announcer Adam Alexander. He moves over from Fox to take on that role for the relatively new sports division of the CW. Alongside him in the booth, retired NASCAR drivers Jamie McMurray and Parker Kligerman. Now, McMurray has done many appearances on the late-lamented NASCAR Race Hub. We'll talk about them in a little bit. Kligerman's also been an on-camera veteran. He's got experience with NBC Sports and worked his way up into pit reporter duties. Speaking of pit reporters, veteran announcers Dylan Welsh, Kim Kuhn going to be there, as well as veteran presences that should help assist the on-air presentation sound professional and smooth from the split between Fox and NBC Sports that we've seen over the past decade or so. Of all of these, when we talked about this during Cross Flags, you said the biggest question you had was Kim Kuhn, and I agree with that. I think she is the weakest of the entire group. She's got some work to do, but she's not the worst I've ever heard either. That I'm going to state. So, you know, she needs to make sure that she leans on Dylan Welsh over there. That's what I'm saying.
They got to have their little eye candy.
Well, sure.
It happens. So
she's not exactly the worst thing to look at either.
I didn't say it.
I did. Well, Fast Pasta, as we noted, is attempting to get the Beard Motorsports number 62 entry into the Daytona 500. Anthony Alfredo will also be full-time in the Xfinity Series. He has signed with Young's Motorsports for this coming year. He's going to drive their number 42 Chevrolet. Sponsorship from Dude Wipes and Ranco Industries. This is a new ride for him. He drove for Our Motorsports in 2024, where he actually placed 15th in the final standings in their 5-car, racked up 2 top 5 and 7 top 10 finishes. Andrew Abbott, who was the crew chief on the 42 car in 2024 when Leland Honeyman drove it, remains as the crew chief for 2025. This is an interesting move. I get it. To a certain extent, it's guaranteed full-time. He's got 2 sponsors here. Lateral move, backward move?
Backwards.
Backward move.
Backwards. Sorry, but backwards.
All right. We'll see if Anthony Alfredo can overcome it. That's going to be the trick.
Hope.
Viking Motorsports bringing back Matt DiBenedetto through all the changes the team has going through and has gone through this offseason. I think we've told you this before, but this is now official. We figured it was going to happen, but now it is official. DiBenedetto returns as the team switches over from Ford to Chevrolet and switches numbers from the number 38 to the number 99. DiBenedetto ran 28 races for them in 2024, claiming a best finish of 7th 2 times at Iowa and again at Michigan. Got another top 10 at Talladega. You and I have said this on numerous occasions. Matt DiBenedetto might be one of the most talented drivers without a win in the top levels of NASCAR. I'm going to say specifically Cup, but, he's one of the most talented drivers out there that just kind of flies under the radar. I just don't think he's gotten a legitimate chance. Yeah, he had the Wood Brothers car for a little while, but how many drivers have we seen go through the Wood Brothers number 21?
Too many.
Yeah. So.
And he clearly got robbed of one at Talladega in 2020.
I would agree. This is a good move for Viking, keeping Matt DiBenedetto on the team.
Sure.
This is a fantastic move on their part. The switch over, though, to Chevrolet, they're kind of flying without a safety net here.
Yeah, because they're not going to be aligned with RCR or nobody.
Yeah.
They're flying on their own.
Yep. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes for them. Wish them the best. AM Racing has announced a new partner on the number 25 for Harrison Burton. This is a deal that's going to cover 10 races this coming year. It's Dead on Tools, Midwestern-based company, going to be on the hood of the season opener at Daytona. 9 more races spread throughout the season. They're going to be in order: Vegas, springtime; Martinsville, Texas; Charlotte; Chicago; Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway. We're into the playoffs now. Vegas, Martinsville, and the season finale at Phoenix. I'm a little curious about this because this is, I'm not going to say it's Harrison Burton's last chance, but after doing all but nothing in the Cup Series, this is one of those deals where he's back in the Xfinity Series. This could be a Cole Custer situation where he finds his level and gets his confidence back, or this might be him with one of his last opportunities to really show something in the top levels of NASCAR.
He should have never left the situation he was in Xfinity to start with and just bided his time. But what happens when you get a little bit too step happy?
Yeah.
You just blew half your foot off. Now you're trying to reconstruct and rebuild your foot.
Yeah. And I get it. He was the guy that got Wood Brothers Racing their 100th win at Daytona last year, which did get him into the playoffs, but he didn't do anything in the playoffs. And it's been my question for the longest time. I've said this, I've asked this question for years. And it's even more glaring now when you think about the fact that for the last 3 years in a row, we've seen a Team Penske driver, 2 Joey Logano, 1 for Ryan Blaney, win the Cup Series championship. They're supposed to be the technical partner and advisor and blah, blah, blah. And everyone keeps saying that Wood Brothers Racing number 21 is effectively a Team Penske 4th car. There's that loophole again.
Sure.
We haven't seen it.
No.
The 2, the 12, and the 22 all are doing great things. Then there's the 21 sitting out there all by itself, kind of doing a whole lot of nothing. Is it the driver or is it the car?
That would be equally, in my opinion, that's going to be a 50-50 on that one.
So for you, Josh Berry comes into the 21 car. Is he an upgrade?
On the surface, yes.
On the surface.
On the surface, yes.
Okay. I'll go with that.
Get with me after Phoenix, and we will tell you if it's the driver of the car.
And I'm certain you're not talking about the end of the year, Phoenix. You're talking about the first visit to Phoenix.
Correct.
So you're going to know real quick.
You'll know quick.
I gotcha. SS Greenlight Racing going to go with a 3-driver rotation for the 2025 year in the 07 Chevrolet. Alex LeBay is coming along with Patrick Emmerling and Nick Lights. Emmerling returns to the operation. LeBay and Lights are new to the team. Exact schedule for the drivers has not been detailed, but the team claims each is going to run, give or take, about a third of the schedule. They'll also set to pair with Garrett Smithley, who's listed as the primary driver of the 14 car, which tells me he may not be in that car full time. So, yeah, a whole bunch of different drivers for SS Greenlight Racing. Is that one of those situations where you're kind of like they say in football, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks?
That's right.
Haas Factory team has announced a partnership for the 00 car for Sheldon Creed. It is the Friends of Jacqueline Foundation. This is a nonprofit organization. Got a really, really cool stated goal: improving the lives of children who are battling pediatric tumors and other childhood cancers. So they're going to get a lot of hood time on this car. Exactly how much was not detailed. Creed takes over the car, by the way, from the aforementioned Cole Custer, who's moved up to Cup. Creed and Custer actually in 2024 tied for the most top 10 results. But unlike Custer, Creed, who has 103 starts in the Xfinity Series, has yet to claim an Xfinity Series win. Custer has, including a title. So we'll have to see whether or not Sheldon Creed can finally end his streak, which is currently the all-time record for the Xfinity Series of second-place finishes without a win.
Right.
Good luck. Couple of quick notes here from the Truck Series. Johnny Sauter recently talked to the media, said he has no idea about his own future in the series, but at the same time, he's keeping himself busy. He's actually preparing a car for his 15-year-old son, Penn. Penn slated for about 12 super late model races this coming year with backing from Sauter's Truck Series regular home, ThorSport Racing. Think they're thinking of the future? What it means for either Sauter, Johnny, 2016 season champion, he isn't sure. He said, quote, I can't make plans for myself personally in the NASCAR world. I don't have a clue what's going on there. People call you generally 2 weeks before they need you or sometimes the week of. So right now, we're just focused on him, talking about his son, Penn. Then there's Rayom Brothers Racing. They've announced the return of Tyler Tomasi for a second year in a part-time role. Tomasi's set to drive the number 2 Ford F-Series truck this season at 2 events, both of them in Tennessee, Nashville and Bristol. Paul race at Bristol, by the way. Tomasi has experience in trucks and ARCA. At the age of 21, he's vying for his first ever top 10 finish at any of the top NASCAR levels, and I will include ARCA in that. He does have 2 top 15 finishes, one in the ARCA Menards Series, the other in ARCA Menards East, despite the fact that he's got a relative lack of experience because he's got 2 starts in ARCA Menards East, 2 starts in the ARCA Menards Series, and 2 starts in the Truck Series. To his credit, he's also going to get a couple of starts with MBM Motorsports. Man, we just keep coming back to them, don't we? In their Xfinity Series ride, the number 66, his 2 starts there will be at Martinsville and at Bristol. There you go. Tyler Tomasi, good luck, man. When we come back, Speedway Motorsports Incorporated and NASCAR have a deal with the same company. We'll detail how that's going to work out. And for the longest time, I've been saying that NASCAR needs to start its own streaming channel. Well, they're closer to it. We'll tell you exactly how NASCAR's diving into getting their own channel when we come back. And then we'll start to turn our attention to some of the other series that we cover finally.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back. action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back in. Appreciate you joining us on Tuesday. NASCAR and Speedway Motorsports Incorporated announced they've come up with a dual partnership with a company called Suburban Propane Partners. You probably have heard about these guys. They're a nationwide distributor of propane, natural gas, fuel oil, and related products and services. You know, not to sound too much like Hank Hill or the old animated show King of the Hill. Becoming the official propane partner of NASCAR, the company will do propane and propane accessories for the new track dryers, which are going to be powered by propane. They'll begin to replace the old jet dryers. It'll start. It's going to take a few years. They're not just going to do it immediately. They're going to be used in conjunction with the Air Tundra drying team. For NASCAR's part, Suburban becomes the official propane of Darlington, Daytona, Homestead, Miami, Martinsville, Phoenix, Richmond, Talladega, and Watkins Glen. For SMI, they are now the official propane of Atlanta, Charlotte, Bristol, Dover, Vegas, Nashville, New Hampshire, North Wilkesboro, Sonoma, Texas, basically covering almost all of the tracks we run on. In addition, Suburban will provide services to the campgrounds at all of those tracks. So for those of you that are camping, your propane issues may be taken care of on site. Of course, I think they were before, weren't they?
Some.
That's some. Yeah, not all. Yeah. Okay. I have been on record on this show saying that NASCAR needed to start its own channel or streaming service, whatever. You know, and NFL has their own streaming service, NFL Plus. Plus, they've had their own channel for a long time. NBA's got a channel. NHL's even got a channel, as does Major League Baseball. NASCAR's starting down the right track on this one. This week, they announced the NASCAR channel on Tubi. This will begin showing content on January the 29th. Through Tubi, you can watch without a subscription fee or even needing to register. So, again, good starts. The content that NASCAR plans for the new channel includes classic races, re-airs of the 2025 races. You get documentaries, some original content, also from NASCAR Studios in Charlotte. Some video podcasts will be on there as well. No, they haven't contacted us. I don't know why. They will feature live coverage of the Hall of Fame ceremony on February the 5th. All of that's just the beginning. Some of the specifics, they said that they want to have a show and have signed Shannon Spake to do something called NASCAR Daily with Shannon Spake. I guess this is kind of NASCAR Race Hub reincarnated.
Sounds like it, yeah.
They will do biographies, Hall of Fame biographies. There's something called Refuse to Lose. Radioactive, which comes straight out of Race Hub. They're going to do that as well. John Dahl, who's NASCAR Senior VP of Content, said, quote, "I'm excited for the fans. They now have a free, easily accessed 24/7 NASCAR destination that not only digs deep into our own archives, but provides the latest news and original storytelling. As the channel grows, we'll be adding more and more racing content, but we're confident fans will appreciate it. Many NASCAR fans already use the Tubi site, but we are looking forward to exposing more of them to that great platform as well. It is free to download on your smart TV or smart device, so there you go." We'll see how it goes.
Time will tell.
Yeah. Let's do a little open wheel stuff here. First things first, this weekend, late model Mark from Talladega Short Track did remind me, Chili Bowl going on this weekend. I think today is the final day.
Yep.
They're going to crown a champion. The Golden Driller will be awarded today.
Yep, the alphabet soup should be starting at any point here.
Yeah, exactly. What letter are they down to, for the Lord? I mean, we've seen as far as, what, Q before?
That's what I'm looking for now, to see if...
And then South Georgia's got something going on here within the next week or so.
No, they're running this weekend.
Is it this weekend?
Speed Fest.
Okay.
Yep.
So a lot of good stuff to go on there still. I mean, yeah, we're in January, but yeah, there's some really good racing out there to be found if you're looking. Dale Coyne Racing for IndyCar has announced that they had the only season's open seats left, I should say, for IndyCar in the upcoming season. That's now seat. One of their 2 seats has been filled. It will not be, by the way, a rotating slate of drivers either. Monday, Dale Coyne Racing announced they have pulled Jacob Abel up from Indy Next. He will drive for them full-time this year. The 23-year-old Abel's been in Indy Next the past 3 seasons. He's won 3 races in 2024, finished on the podium in 10 of the 14 races run as well. We saw him at Barber Motorsports Park up close and personal. Good driver, good driver. Finished second in the overall 2024 standings. Abel will take on Coyne's number 51 car in conjunction with Rick Ware Racing. The team's statement said that by the end of January, they hope to announce the driver for the second car, which is the 18 car. They say that they want to make sure that that is a 1-driver car as well, and that'll be a nice change from what they had last year at Dale Coyne. All right, what'd you find out, Chili Bowl?
The Q main started 13 minutes ago.
So they got to go from
main.
Q main all the way up to A.
P and Q main hot laps started at 9 a.m.
Yeah. By the way, all of this is on Flow Racing.
Yep.
I know that. I don't know if there's Motor Trend at one point in time did cover it. I don't think they're doing that this year.
Yes, all Flow Racing.
It's all Flow Racing this year. So yeah.
The A main scheduled to start tonight at 10 p.m.
And that may or may not happen. That's that whole idea behind, think NCAA tournament, for example. You get the round of 68 and you say, okay, we're going to run 4 games this day, and we're planning on having that last game start at, I don't know, well, I'll just throw out a time, 9 p.m. Eastern. But the first one, which starts at noon, goes a little over, and then the second one goes a little over, and then the third one goes a little over, and the fourth one doesn't start until like 12:30 in the morning.
Kind of like at the point the other day when Alabama played Texas A&M in basketball, and it lasted 3 hours.
There's a reason why I wait until the next day to find out basketball scores.
We're going to join in our coverage from for Central Florida and Arizona.
Join them at halftime.
Join them with 1 minute left in the first half. I was like, seriously?
Will Power in IndyCar has done something he previously never has done in his career. He hired an agent. Previously, Will Power has actually negotiated all of his contracts by himself. But now, in his final year of his deal with Team Penske, he has taken the step of letting someone else do the hard work for him, and noted that if it were up to him alone, he would choose to remain with Team Penske, which we're going to file under the duh category. But the team might be feeling a little bit differently, he said, without saying so. He told media in a press conference recently, quote, I was very competitive last year, won 3 races, made 7 podiums, so still performing at a really high level. And yeah, if I wasn't performing, I wouldn't want to do it. I'm still learning. He does have 2 IndyCar titles. He is the winner of the 2018 Indy 500. He was in the running for a 3rd IndyCar title just last year, but a loose seatbelt caused him to have to pit. He ended up 4th in the final standings. Rumors are rumors. Okay? But the rumor out there is that Team Penske is beginning to look into maybe bringing in somebody younger. Some of the people are thinking that it might be David Malukas. Malukas is set to drive for AJ Foyt Racing this year. AJ Foyt Racing's got a technical partnership with Team Penske. Neither team is commenting at this time, and Will Power, again, has signed an agent, so he's just going to concentrate on his racing and let his racing speak for him. And that is the way that it should be. I think the more that you go out there and you campaign, the less you're actually concentrating on your contract, the more it hurts you.
For sure.
And this is in all sports. I don't care whether it's a stick and ball sport or racing.
Right.
If you're concentrating out there by flapping your yap about your contract, you're not concentrating on what it is that got you to where you are.
It is true.
Now he's got an agent. He can just deal with that. The agent is through the company called A14 Management. This is also a company that represents drivers like Fernando Alonso in Formula One and former F1 and IndyCar driver Oriol Servia, who happens to now be IndyCar's pace car driver. I wonder what kind of contract he gets for doing that. On the plus side, Power has 44 career wins. That's 4th on the all-time IndyCar list there. He's got 70 pole positions, and that is the all-time IndyCar leader in that role. He had 3 wins in 2024, but he is 44 years old. And I say that, I'm more than a decade older than he is. But as for what we have seen over the last, decade, 15 years?
Yeah.
You get to 44, drivers are starting to think about retiring in pretty much every major series that we are covering.
It starts to wear down for sure.
So it'll be interesting to see how much longer. He seems to think he could go as much as 5 more years, which would put him, 49, 50 years old by the time his contract was complete. And I don't blame him for thinking that. He should think that.
If you got Elio doing it, he can do it too.
Absolutely. Will Power's a good driver.
Yeah.
As for Malukas, as we noted, he's driving for AJ Foyt. He is pairing up with Santino Ferrucci in what will be a 2-car operation this year for Foyt. Ferrucci will, as he did in 2024, pilot that famed number 14 entry that Foyt at one point in time carried himself. Malukas is going to take over a new number for Foyt. We have seen them run the 10. We've seen them run the 41. This year, Malukas will be in the number 4. Malukas began 2023 with one team, and then, as we detailed here on the show, suffered an injury before the season, which caused a delay, and that delay caused him to miss the first 4 races of the year, and by his contract, he got released. And by the time he got cleared by doctors to return to racing, he ended up joining Meyer Shank Racing in a part-time role, and in that part-time role showed he never should have been let go the first time around because he got 2 top 10 finishes in 10 starts and had a best finish of 6th at Toronto. 2 podium finishes as well, one in each of his first 2 seasons, 2022 and 2023. And that was when he was driving for Dale Coyne Racing with HMD Motorsports. So this kid's a good kid. We saw a little bit of this because last year was the first year of that partnership between Foyt and Penske. It didn't start off well.
No.
But as the season went along, we saw how AJ Foyt Racing, especially with Santino Ferrucci, really started to compete at a very high level and gaining top 10s and even top 5s on a very regular basis.
Sure.
I have no reason to believe that they can't equal that this year, and I could easily see Malukas with his talent being able to do every single bit of what Santino Ferrucci's doing.
Should, if not more.
Okay, I'll go with that too.
Should, if not more.
I'll go with that too. Ed Carpenter Racing changing their look, the old look. They're trying to modernize it, basically. Did they succeed? I'll let you figure it out. The old logo featured the words Ed Carpenter in kind of italicized block printing. The word racing underneath it was in cursive. Generally, it was seen with kind of white and gold lettering with some green highlights, depending on what the background was. I think the one that we've got has some
Green.
tires in the background.
Green.
Yeah, so there you go. This new look features an outline that kind of brings up in your mind a picture of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the rectangle, right? Inside on a black background, rounded letters in yellow, lowercase, simply spells out ECR. Is that truly modern to you? Does that just scream out modern to you?
That's more retro to me. Honestly.
There you go. Carpenter said he needed this because of the new era of the team. He is still an owner, but he's now part owner. The ownership is now 4 wide. Carpenter has paired up with Tony George, Ted Gelov, and Stuart Reed with the ownership group. Gelov actually might be the most important of them because he's the owner of a company called Heartland Food Products Group. This features nationwide brands like Splenda, Java House Coffee. I say he might be the most important because that means it brings in automatic sponsorship.
Boom.
Both of those that company, by the way, is based in Indiana, as is Splenda and Java House Coffee. ECR, going to have a couple of pretty good drivers out there, 2 full-timers. No splitting this year with Ed Carpenter on the 20 car. The 20 ride, Alexander Rossi has it all season long to himself. Christian Rasmussen, who split the year last year in the 20 car with Carpenter himself, moves over to the team's number 21 car and runs it for the full year. As for Ed, says he's backing out of the racing world for the most part into mostly an ownership role, but he does say there likely will be a third entry for the team in the Indy 500 with him behind the wheel.
Makes sense.
It does. I mean, he's been the oval track driver for the team anyway, so I don't see why he wouldn't do it. Noted the Fox IndyCar broadcast crew on Cross Flags podcast. That's not all, by the way. We'll show you that on CRN Live on YouTube in case you missed it, so you can see the 3 announcers there. In addition, though, Fox is saying that they're prepared to use the same inside-the-helmet cameras that Fox has already used in their coverage of NASCAR. Formula One actually has approved it for use in their races as well, as seen on Sky Sports here in the U.S. via ESPN. It's something called the Driver's Eye System. It's a small 8-millimeter diameter camera that's going to be installed on the padding on the driver's on the helmets on the helmet of the driver. Somehow. Basically, it's just nestled inside in the padding, right close to the helmet shell, so it won't be in the way. And it is pretty small. If you see the picture, it's on CRN Live on YouTube. Yeah, it's not really getting in the way here of anything whatsoever.
Yeah,
so that's the good.
I've seen one. They are super, super, super small.
Yeah, but they do have a pretty good shot. And what this is going to do is help the viewers get a better idea of what it's actually like to be behind the wheel of an IndyCar ride. And this is something that viewers probably really haven't seen in as much because the previous cameras were kind of placed up over the driver, back behind them, so you would see a little bit of their helmet and then down into the cockpit. This right now, you'll get an up-close, almost hands-on kind of view, and you'll get to see what the driver actually sees behind the IndyCar aero screen setup. It was fascinating to watch this through the Formula One view because you got an idea of exactly how much that bar right in front of the driver on the halo system messed him up. Now you get not only the bar, because aero screen is technically a halo with a screen around it. So now you get the full effect. Be interesting to see what it looks like. Fox also says they're going to bring drones to IndyCar. The network is once again paired up with a company called Beverly Hills Aerials. They're going to control the drones themselves, provide the footage that Fox will put out to the viewers. NBC did try drone footage last year for one race, the Indy 500, and then didn't use it again. I don't know why. Their call, not mine.
Yeah.
Fox loves this stuff, though. Fox will use drones almost to the point of making us sick.
Probably so.
We'll turn our attention over to the Formula One ranks here in just a couple of moments here. We got to take our final break here. This will allow us to catch our breath, grab a drink or two, like Matt just did, if you're watching on camera. And then we'll get back into the swing of things and wrap this thing up here. As we continue on, we're going to get into Formula One. The Sauber, almost Audi team, still making changes.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
One more segment for this week anyway. Appreciate you sticking with us. I'm Steve West, Matt Nicholson, producer John via CRN Live on YouTube. We appreciate you over there. And if you have gone there and have not yet, we ask that you subscribe humbly. We thank you if you have already done so. To the world of Formula One, not a whole lot this week, but one of them is, well, a story that just blows my mind. As teams continue to work towards the beginning of 2025, though, things still changing. Sauber, in the final year of their ownership of the team that is soon to become Audi's F1 team, works program all. Whether that was a factor in his leaving, we don't know. Alessandro Aluni Bravi, who was the former managing director of the team before becoming the team representative after the Audi deal cleared, is now leaving. At the end of this month, his resignation is set to take effect. He said he hopes to remain in Formula One in some way, shape, or form. Mattia Binotto, who's the incoming COO and chief technical officer for Audi, complimented Bravi and wished him the best in his future endeavors. It's just the latest change that the team has made in continuing to make preparations for the switch from Sauber to Audi. It includes 2 new drivers coming in for 2025. Got the veteran Nico Hülkenberg. You got the rookie Gabriel Bortoleto. Other changes up and down the line within the front office there. We'll have to see whether or not this means good stuff. this is something that I just broke, by the way, not that long ago. And I couldn't help but include it because, well, this is reaching stupidity levels. The debate about what value an 11th team brings continues. It's going into the realm of stupid, ridiculous, absurd, idiotic, whatever you want to call it. The Cadillac GM entry team has all but been approved for the 2026 season. And yes, the team's going to have to pay out a hefty fee just to join. According to the current Concord agreement, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $450 million just to state, I'm a member of the F1 club. GM's got it, yes, with some help from Andretti, which they can't publicize it, but let's face it, we know that it is. All of this will help compensate the current 10 teams. The 10 teams noting now there's going to be an 11-way split in the revenues as opposed to the 10 it is currently, so the entry fee will be split evenly amongst those existing 10 teams to kind of make up for it, at least in the short term. But this is very short-sighted because, well, let me just quote Toto Wolff. Toto Wolff, CEO, team principal of Mercedes, is taking this to the extreme. This is where the idiotic realm comes in my mind. Toto Wolff got to talking recently to the German publication, which I love to say, Automotor und Sport. I know I'm screwing it up, but I don't care. I'm an American. He said this, quote, "Do you lose more as the pie has to be divided by 11, or is that compensated by the image where a global brand comes with it? The amount of that compensation, which would currently be $450 million, is too low." $450 million divided by 10 is $45 million a pop. You can't tell me that splitting the revenue annually in Formula One is costing you all that much more than $45 million.
Price of an F1 engine, that'd get you 4 extra engines.
But Wolff continued to go and insert whatever size shoe he's got into his mouth. Quote, "It does not compensate for the direct loss of income. Only time will tell what gains the sport will make with an 11th competitor. If revenue increases, then everyone wins, but we don't know. Nobody's spoken to me about what exactly Cadillac is planning. If Cadillac comes with a factory team and invests a sizable marketing budget in Formula One, then it will add value to Formula One."
Sure.
If Cadillac comes with a factory team, they have a deal with Ferrari that is a bridge to get them to the point where it becomes a full Cadillac Works team, meaning Cadillac will build, along with Dallara, their own chassis and their own bodies and their own powertrains. So that part of it, which, by the way, has long been established, is already set. We already knew that. And Toto Wolff should have already known that because he's inside the sport. We're just reporting on it. We knew it. You can't tell me he didn't know this. Mm-hmm. Invests a sizable marketing budget. If you honestly believe that Cadillac/General Motors is going to spend $450 million to enter into Formula One without also putting some marketing money behind it, give me a break.
Indeed. Indeed.
Toto Wolff, get your head out of the sand. I'm just going to leave that way.
Good way to put it.
Again, I get it. We got the Haas F1 team, and it's got the American flag on it, but they don't have an American driver. Nope. But if you go to COTA, if you go to Miami, if you go to Vegas, or if you just watch the television coverage of it and they show the stands, you will see people who have Haas F1 material on. Why? Because we're in America, and it is the American-based team. But they're going to stick with Haas F1 only because it's the American-based team.
Sure.
They're not specifically going out there. They might have Kevin Magnussen stuff on. They might have old Romain Grosjean stuff on. I don't know. But they're sticking to it because it's the American-based team, and that gives us something to root for here in the United States of America.
Sure. It's
like the Tifosi in Italy. The Tifosi don't care who's behind the wheel of their Ferraris. But by God, they're supporting Ferrari.
Oh, yeah.
German, Mercedes, now it'll be split a little bit because you got Audi, you got all this kind of stuff. But if you're a fan of a team, you don't really care who's wearing the uniform. Now, I know people who are fans of a particular player, and wherever that player goes, no matter how many different teams they end up being on, they're going to follow that player or driver in this case.
Yep, that is true.
But I have often said this, I'm more a fan of the team than the player. Because especially in this day of free agency and we can go anywhere, anytime we want to me, the uniform means more than the person who's inhabiting.
Agreed.
But here's the thing that Cadillac, through Andretti, is saying that they plan to do, which is something Haas F1 has talked about but really hasn't gone seriously towards doing, and that is ensuring that they put an American driver in the seat of one of their two cars. And you can't tell me that an American team with an American brand, Cadillac, with an American driver, wouldn't suddenly turn heads of fans who were on Formula One.
There's no reason that it shouldn't.
That they were kind of interested in it, but they didn't really have a rooting interest.
Right.
If you're here in the United States and that's what you've been waiting on, that's what Cadillac is going to bring. And if it brings that many more people in, you can't tell me that the revenues don't increase. I know that they will.
Oh, yeah, it'll increase by way more than they think it will.
So, Toto Wolff, please, shut up. Please. Officials with the Hungarian Grand Prix have updated the progress of the works that are being done on the F1 track known as Hungaroring. The paddock, the main building, which I think we're showing you a picture of, and the main grandstand along the front stretch, they're all being revamped and upgraded in this, what they're calling Phase 2 of a renovation and upgrade project that actually began last year. Phase 1 got completed last summer in time for the Hungarian Grand Prix, and then work on Phase 2 began about 1 week after that race ran. According to the update, most of the concrete and steel reinforcement work on the grandstand is completed. Construction on the third floor of the paddock area is underway. They state they'll be ready to race, but they do admit the main building, which covers media and broadcasting, will not be completed in time, but they state that they have a workaround already and note that the work will continue well into 2026 on this reconstruction project of this facility. All right. Keep it rolling, boys.
Yep.
And this is that thing that we have seen, though. F1 tracks are all upgrading their facilities because if they want to remain on the Formula One calendar, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, they have no choice.
You have to keep updated. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself left off because Formula One's got all these shiny new facilities that are suddenly being built in these different places like Rwanda. And I'm not saying that that's going to automatically guarantee Rwanda's going to get there, but if Rwanda builds a state-of-the-art, brand-new facility that has things that Hungary doesn't, and Hungary has any question about their contract, Formula One will run to the new money. And NASCAR would do it, and Indycar would do it, and so would every other series.
Don't give NASCAR any more ideas of doing something ridiculous.
But I'm just saying, every series on this planet would do it.
Hey, we're going to go to South Carolina in South Africa. What?
Good luck. One bit of note here from the NHRA, and this is pretty cool stuff, actually. We noted last week, Alexis DeJoria has signed with JCM Racing, going to run their funny car full-time in 2025. The team noted they will be a two-car operation for this coming year. They have signed, officially, Ida Zetterstrom to be her teammate. This makes them the NHRA's first-ever all-female driver team in the nitro classes. DeJoria, as noted last week, is going to drive the Bandero Tequila ride. Zetterstrom is set to run the JCM Racing colors at least to begin the year. The team says they are looking for more sponsors, and there's a reason for that because while, yes, this is Zetterstrom's second season in JCM Racing, she made her name in the European drag racing series. And I want to say funny car, but she might have actually even had some top fuel over there. She had a lot of success. She's come over to the United States to run the premier drag racing series, the NHRA. But at this point in time, she's only confirmed for the first 10 races of 2025, and they need sponsorship to make the full season commitment. She seems a pretty talented kid.
She'll get it.
Yeah, I really don't think that she's going to have, or JCM Racing for that matter, is going to have much of a problem going and finding sponsorship.
Nope.
Guess it depends upon the accent, but hey, sometimes the accent could work out in your favor.
It's true.
Grabs people attention, And then a note here from Formula E before we take off for the day. Actually, it's kind of a note within a note because apparently there's a company that's thinking about getting into Formula E racing too. But as for the teams that are currently in there, a number of them have already committed to sticking with Formula E as they get ready to enter their fourth generation. We've mentioned these as they've come up. Jaguar's committed, Porsche's committed, Nissan's committed, Maserati has. Lola, even though they're only in their first year in Formula E, has already announced they are committed to racing in Generation 4. Mahindra, which has been around since the beginning of the Formula E series a decade ago, has yet to commit one way or another officially. But early this week, Mahindra's team principal, Fred Bertrand, said that the organization is, his words, quote, committed to Formula E, unquote. He added that it, quote, makes sense for Mahindra and that they have been there since the beginning. This has not changed. That's why we still investigate. Otherwise, we would have stopped investigating, continuing in the series. We would like to stay as a manufacturer, but there are so many other items that we need to be sure of, so that's why we need to evaluate properly. But we still have time to develop a car. Funny thing about this is the FAA set a deadline for teams to commit to racing in Generation 4. Mahindra blew through it. It was New Year's Eve. And they're still not committed. And we're halfway through January. Mahindra says that they, though, do have an open dialogue with the FIA about their future in the series, and it led Bertrand to say this as well, quote, I don't see any reason why you would block somebody from coming in later if they feel like they're ready. That's the big question mark. If you come so late, are you going to be ready? It's not a big stretch to think that Mahindra, which already has the infrastructure, would be. So I don't have a problem with them necessarily blowing through it and making this deadline a soft deadline.
I mean, yeah, with somebody that's been there for all 4 seasons, all the seasons,
yeah,
why would you shut them out if they miss a date?
Yeah, exactly. Huh. It's a NASCAR thing to be learned there, isn't there? In addition, motorsport.com reports that Hyundai's been in talks with the FIA about entering Formula E in the 4th generation when it gets underway here in a couple of years. I can't remember if it was 2027 or 2028. One of those two.
Something, yeah.
Here's the thing. Hyundai is... Okay, so we talked about Junior Motorsports getting into the Cup Series here, and they're dipping their toe into the water. They're going into the shallow end, and they're just going step by step. Eventually, they'll get up to their neck.
Right.
As opposed to going over and doing exactly what Trackhouse did, which is go up into the high dive, form a cannonball, and just splash into the deep end. Mm-hmm. Hyundai apparently is taking the Trackhouse racing way of doing it. Because for a company that had not really ever been involved in racing at all just a few years ago, not only are they talking about getting into Formula E, they're committed to starting up a World Endurance Challenge racing team, specifically in entering the LMDH class. And they feel like they can not only start up, but run both teams efficiently. In addition, they're doing some sports car racing. They had done something with the old Hyundai Veloster N Series, but now that that's gone, I think they've switched it to whatever has taken over the end, the Sonata or whatever it is.
I think so, something like that.
So, but Hyundai apparently feels like, hey, you know what? We're just going to go racing. Let's go racing. Let's have a good time.
Go big or go home. Go big or go home.
Are they one of those companies that's talking to NASCAR?
I would not be shocked.
Just saying. Be interesting to watch. Whole fun thing is going to be interesting to watch. All right. That wraps things up for us for this particular week. We appreciate you joining us. Next week, we've got some weather coming into the state of Alabama, and if you know the state of Alabama, we're not prepared for this kind of stuff, okay?
No.
But we're going to get real cold. We'll see temperatures down into the teens for lows, and we'll see wind chills down into the zeros. And I know Chi-Town Mark is laughing at that because he's dealing with stuff that's even colder than that. I get it. But this is Alabama, not Chicago, or for that matter, the upper Midwest, where you guys are used to getting this stuff. We don't get it usually. And that was the reason why we didn't have the radio edition of the show just last week, because I wasn't even able to get out of my house. I was down in a hole in a hill where I couldn't get up it. So what we're hoping is that things are going to be good enough for us to be able to get out and about and be able to do both the radio and the YouTube show next week at this point in time, and do a podcast as well. But again, all kinds of things happen. And as it is, I won't be staying at the radio station Monday night into Tuesday because I got to take my wife to have surgery It's not major surgery. It's outpatient, but it's supposed to happen on Tuesday when all the snow gets here.
Yeah.
So I'm not even guaranteed that I'm going to be able to get to the radio station. That ought to be interesting. It's going to be a fun week.
Yeah.
Either way, y'all have a great week. We thank you very much. We hope to bring you a Crossed Flags and a CRN in this coming week, but Mother Nature is going to be a big factor in that. Y'all have a great week. We'll talk to you as soon as we possibly can right here on CRN and Crossed Flags. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.